everybody knows who I am. I'm Connie Miller. I'm your Education and Licensing Program Director, and I want to welcome everybody to Quartz Mountain. We hopefully will go towards the Tulsa area next workshop that we do, so that the other half of the state can drive that way. Okay, I know it's a long drive, but we like to come down and have fun, and I think everybody enjoyed themselves that came last night, that were able to get together. I think we crowded everybody out in the lounge that or they were either joining us, so we all had a good time. So food's been good, and company's been good, so we've all had a great time so far, and we're looking forward to having a great instructor today. I want to introduce Karel Murray, and she's got a great I'm not going to take up any more of her time, so I'm going to turn the workshop over to her, and then she can tell you what we're going to do next. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll turn this off first. One of the rules I'm going to suggest a couple things to you. When I do an instructor development workshop, I demonstrate. I'll tell you about stuff. I'm demonstrating it constantly throughout the time I'm going to be doing the next 6 hours with you. So periodically, I'm going to be stopping and asking you, what did I just do? Okay? So it's about technique. That's one of the reasons why Connie is bringing me here, because what I'm known for is I do a lot of motivational humorist first. That's the first thing I do. I just happen to know real estate, and I have a real estate broker's license, and I run a real estate company. I have the privilege of doing that, and I've been in sales. I'm a serial entrepreneur. That's what I am. Okay? So what we're going to do today, I want to explain a couple things really quick. Let me get this now. First, if you happen to notice that the crotch of my pants starts getting and aligning with my knees, it's because I've been losing weight and this microphone is a little heavier than I expected. And I do notice it, and I will fix it, so you don't have to worry. That's the first thing. Let's get that out of the way. Secondly, I want to explain a couple things. First of all, I have been a woman all my life. That is one thing that I make sure everybody knows right off the bat. There's a reason for that. Look at the way my name is spelled. It's spelled K-A-R-E-L. My mother was Polish. She worked in the maternity ward. She knew she was going to have twin boys. She knew that. So she named us Kevin and Karel. So when I was born, she had a little bit of a dilemma. She had the birth certificate already done, and she thought, well, maybe she could redo it and name me Carly, except my maiden name was Q, so I would have been Carly Q. That would not have been good. So she just left it Karel, and I've had this low of a voice since I've been 2. That's why I'm never going to be in a horror movie, because I scream like, they don't do that in horror movies, and Rodney knows that. So we're going to be real careful, and the thing is that when people look at my twin brother and I, they ask us if we're identical. And we tell them that we used to be. So this is out of the way, that's the first thing. And so that, in the form of all of this, is my introduction to you today. Connie, I want to thank you for bringing me here, because this is actually one of the most favorite things that I do, because when I started actually formally created a speaking business in the year 2000, I'd been training in a corporate environment for many years, went into the real estate arena, and I found out that I missed it. How many of you are kind of like that? That you just got back into it, and there's just something about a classroom and being part of it. I hope that you all had the opportunity at some point to help become a mentor and to be able to work with and to be able to help other individuals, because there's so much knowledge in this room today. It's sobering, and it's also exhilarating at the same time. So what we're going to hope to do is we're really going to work on enhancing what it is that you know, because there are so many blank holes that I have that I'm going to be walking away with 2 or 3 different things that I'm going to be learning from you. And each time I do that, I keep adding and keep adding. So the result of this course keeps expanding because of this collective knowledge that we have across the country. So please take advantage of today to share and also to be able to absorb, because we're going to be doing a few things as we get rolling. Right off the bat, we're going to start with an introduction. So I would like you, first of all, in your book, you will have this here on page 43. Going to be giving you some tools, techniques that hopefully we can find of some use and benefit to you. Page 43 should be right after the appendix. You're going to notice a segment there. This is an introduction page for you today, and here's what you're going to have an opportunity to do. I would like you to just pick one element. You're going to be talking to the person next to you. If you have uneven numbers at the table, I'm sure you can work it out, okay, how we're going to do it. But I would like you to introduce somebody else at the table, not yourself. All I want from you is, first of all, I want their name, how long they have been teaching, and then let's take a look at one of these 5 areas. You need to pick just one. Instructor hero, who was it and why? Or personal classroom disaster, what was that? Or a pet peeve when you're a student. Number 4 is a role of the technology in the classroom. How do you feel about that? And finally, what's the toughest topic for you to teach? You may pick only one, because by allowing you to do all 5, we will spend 4 hours just on introductions, okay? So the intent is, when an introduction be short, succinct, to the point, I'd like you to be able to go through it in a minute and a half for each person as we go through. It's important, too, that all of you get a chance to know who is in the room. Are we okay? Do we understand what we're doing? All right, I'm going to show you one thing, too, so I'm demonstrating. What I'm using right now is called Gyro Remote. You get it from gyrations.com. There's a counter on here. So I am going to give you 3 minutes to interview each other. Let's go.
Look at the dogs. Just look at those dogs. Look at the teeth.
Everybody within the sound of my voice, please say shh. Anybody that can hear me, please say shh. Jerry Watson and what he does, and he picked it up from another national speaker that does it in order to get attention very quickly in the room. Demonstrating another technique I found very effective when using a microphone. And people all of a sudden start tuning into it and realizing, and especially when it's really nice and loud, it really sounds like the thudding heart from a telltale Edgar Allan Poe story. So it's kind of good. We start checking the walls out really quick. So anything to get the attention and to stop it. Train whistles have been used, bells, whatever, but I like to try to use the cooperation of the groups. All right, here's what I like to do. I'm going to go in the back, and again, if you want to stand or sit, it's entirely up to you, but just point to the person that you're introducing. You have a minute to a minute and a half maximum to introduce that other person, and we're going to go around the table. So if we could, I'm going to start back over there with you. See, I was looking over there, and you thought that's where I was going to start, but I'm going to start with you.
Me?
Yes, sir. Go for it. Introduce a gentleman, please.
Okay, let's see. Who do I want to pick? This is him and wife.
1.5 minutes.
I think you used 30 seconds. We're in good shape.
Hey, we're doing good.
We're doing well.
Okay. Let's see. He's been teaching for 2 years, had a career in the military. His greatest disaster in the classroom was he took my class. And let's see, he really told me that he had a former real estate student, a former real estate person who was in his class taking the class again to reinstate his license. We tried to take over the class. Y'all ever had that happen? Yeah. Type of personality, narcissists, and others. That's all I know about it, other than I work together.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. All right, and let's go right around the table.
Of course, you just met me, and this is Dale Bates, my mentor. And my classes always tell me that I'm older than dirt, and I say, no, I am dirt. He's older than dirt. He's been in the business so long, he won't even tell me how long he's been teaching. But he used to be the education program director at one time. But as far as how long he's been teaching, he's got instructor number 1. So think about that. Okay? And most likely, the thing that he has to say about the most is technology. He feels that too many people are using technology as a crutch. And should get out there and use their powers for people.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, let's move right on.
All right. The gentleman to my right is Robert Burns from Edmond, Oklahoma. He's been teaching a little bit over a year. He's been in our profession for 13 years. He, like the gentleman to my left, feels that technology is used too much. And to capsulize it, role of technology should be used as a tool for reinforcement of the principles being taught.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll reverse it up.
This is Tim Griffin. He's from Tulsa, and he's been an instructor since 1997. And his instructor hero is Gordon Everidge of Tulsa. He was a broker, he's a broker owner, and he likes him because he has empathy for anyone he meets.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the back table, please. You bet.
Hello, Carol. My name is Victoria Ayers, and I'd like to introduce Karel Jarvis. She's an instructor in Oklahoma City, has been for 13 years. We both work in the same city. She has had an experience in a classroom that was rather troublesome and shocking, but the student did survive and live through it. She had a student in classroom that had a diabetic seizure, and she had to tend to that with every amount of energy she had at that time, and made it through quite well.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
This is Victoria Ayers, and I have met her before, but it's really nice to see her again. She's an instructor at Prudential Alliance in Oklahoma City, and she has been licensed for 14 years in 3 different states, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. She's a broker in Missouri and Oklahoma and a licensed sales associate in Texas. She had a really good time selling property in Branson, Missouri for a few years now. And we're awful glad to have her being an Okie now.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We'll keep moving right around.
get her book. Anyway, she owns the Murray Grove School of Real Estate. She started it in 1974. And that's when she started teaching. And her personal classroom disaster was she had to pay her first set of students to come to class. To her very first class. And then she ran out of time because she talked to her.
Thank you very much. All right, and we're going to have you take up his introduction. Call K-Back.
It's true, too. It's all true. No, I'm Marie Burrows, and I stand up like good, but I got 2 knees and a hip. Isn't it exciting? But Tom Stefanski is an absolute genius in technology. He thinks that there's not enough technology. He has a computer whiz. He's got all his continuing ed, his basic, his post, his brokers online, and he is very personal with every student. So I really admire him for that. And we probably need more technology in our classroom because we all talk too much, but that's Tom too.
And how long have you been in the business?
Since 1995.
Thank you very much. Perfect. Thank you very much. Let's move around to the next table.
I'm Christy Randall, and this is Benny Lindell, and he's an instructor in Oklahoma City, and he has been instructing for 26 years in 11 different states. I don't think they've run him out of any. I think he's just moved. His instructor hero is Dr. Dennis McElroy, and he and Victoria visited last night and were talking about instructors that they liked and found out he had instructed both of them. And they both came away with some positive things to say about him. But the thing that impressed me so much about him was that his teaching technique was educational without being domineering. He didn't have to come in and try to lord over the class or be aggressive with the material, but it was very much an environment that was conducive to learning and interaction. And one of the comments that Denny made was that when the student's ready, the instructor will appear. And that was one of the things that he learned in that classroom, that's when it was necessary.
Thank you. All right.
Yes, I'm Denny Lindell. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Christy Randall. She has been in Oklahoma City and teaching for about 3 years. She is named a pet peeve, kind of interestingly, I think. And her pet peeve is having an instructor either read materials or merely lecture without any interaction of the group, and not allowing sufficient time to clarify questions, or even worse, to add demeanor and negative to the fact that the person asked the question if the instructor didn't understand it clearly. I'm awfully glad she hadn't been in my classes. I'm very proud to say that she's part of our staff now. That's a enjoyable introduction itself.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to the next one.
Well, Denny, you're a pet peeve, are you? My name's Ray Wicker. I'd like to introduce Mary Galloway. She is from Ardmore, Oklahoma, which is south of the baseline. He has also had the privilege of actually being to the initial point and sat on it. That's pretty cool. Stood on it?
You don't want to sit on it.
Anyway, her instructor hero was named Grace Bauer, and Grace impressed her because of the interest that Grace took in her students. In fact, she took a lot of time to help each one. There you go.
Thank you. And how long has she been in the business? Training?
Well, she stretched that out since 1962.
Since 62.
You
Awesome.
do the math.
Awesome. I'm planning on it. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure and privilege to introduce Vince Moody. He's been teaching since '67, so see how we're the same program. And he's from Tulsa. And his hero is Dr. Bob Ray. His theory was teach from the overflow, not out of the book for what you know, but you ought to, who's the one who hates to have the book read to them? There. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I was just introduced Vince Mooney, Tulsa, and I'm doing great. Wickard, he even gave the phonetic spelling here, but I got to hear him when he introduced himself, so that helped. Oklahoma City, teaching 20 years, and he was trained by Marie Burroughs, for example, who's here. And the toughest topic to teach, uptown current ownership. So that's right.
Isn't that called marriage? just wondering.
I think
We cleared up a lot of things for us.
Sorry, just had to come out. All right, okay, let's start on this row over here. Keep moving right along.
Hello, I'm Amy, and I would like to introduce Emily Price. Emily is a broker associate from Oklahoma City, and she's been teaching for about a year with the OREC, post-license training. She was a broker manager trainer in Chicago. She's had her Oklahoma real estate license for 25 years, and her license in Illinois was 9 years, and we also have the pleasure of working in the same office. Emily's instructor hero, we agreed on this first, is J.D. Sack.
Thank you very much. Okay.
My name is Emily Price, as everyone knows, and I would like to introduce Amy Carlson. She is the broker owner of Austin Real Estate in Oklahoma City. She has less than 1 year as far as instructor in the OREC, but in and out over the years, she has over 20 years of teaching. And also, her favorite instructor also is J.D. Sack.
Thank you very much.
I'm not Karel. I like to introduce Amy Lloyd. She has 4 years of teaching experience in Oklahoma, about over 20 years of general teaching experience. She's been licensed in Louisiana, Florida, and Oklahoma since 1977. She has a lot of computer designations. I think over this is her computer literate and AT&T and MS House. I don't know who has this. I don't do those things anymore. And that's it.
Thank you.
My name is Ann Lloyd, and I have the pleasure of introducing Hardy, but we have to call him Robert up here, kind of like I become M.A., that first name and the initial thing. So, Robert comes to us new from Grove, or he's in Grove now, comes to us from Nebraska, where he taught real estate for approximately 10 years, and he kind of got defaulted into teaching as the chief financial officer at the University Hospital there, and was just called in to teach because there wasn't anybody around. But he's found that he really enjoys it. Robert and I were kind of talking about, just not having a lot of time to visit, and as instructors we like to talk. So pet peeves, we really didn't get a chance to talk about that, and we kind of both decided that sometimes you just get into teaching by default, and that's basically what I did also. So we didn't have a chance to have any mentors there. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you. All right, middle table. You bet. Go for it.
My name is Jerry Stelfman. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I would like to introduce Bill Portner, who's from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. He is with Keller Williams Realty. He does both the pre-licensing and the post-licensing work. As I said, he was with Keller Williams. He's been a 27 years, and also he's been an instructor for 3 years. His pet peeve is people who wear ball caps on the reverse side in their classroom, and he thinks maybe this might have been an indicator. They're totally out of sync with society when it's this way. They're on their way back when it's this way, and when it comes this way, they're back in society.
I'm fine. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce Jerry Stelzen. Jerry's with McGraw in Tulsa. He's been an instructor and pre-licensed for 3 years now. And Jerry was talking about his pet peeve, and he said a pet peeve for him when he's teaching are students that text message and don't think the instructor knows what they're doing. He says that that's something that is really, he feels like it kind of gets under his problems a little.
Excellent. Thank you.
Introduce Dee Taylor. Right now, she's presently from Norman, and she teaches for the Norman Board of Realtors and OAR. She's getting ready to have a life quite changed, folks, so listen up. She's moving down to Texas with her husband, so if you need a good instructor, she's looking for a little work. She's for hire. Yes, she's been teaching now for 5 years. Yeah, that's right. He had an interesting little situation that happened. It's kind of one of those disasters in your classroom. It's one of those things with technology that doesn't quite work the way you plan to. She's like some of us that's over the age of, 35? Yeah. You know, they're trying to see sometimes up close and sometimes far away. So she went to the eye doctor. She got this bi-icon stuff going on where she could look far away and up close. And she was teaching her first class for the board, and she didn't quite use the right eye for the clock, and she let it out an hour early. Oh. I'm sure the students were real happy that nobody said a word. She decided she had practice a little more before she did that.
Thank you very much.
I must say, the real estate sent me a very nice letter. The real estate commission sent me a very nice letter, and I have very nice talk with them. So. My students get their hour. Well, I'm Dee, and this is RealEstateSpeakers, and she's from Tulsa. She's been teaching about 6.5 years. She's with Prudential, and she does licensing and post licensing for Prudential. Her pet peeve is for an instructor to talk to her back. And, talk to your back. The speaker to talk to your back. The speaker to talk to your back is the worst thing, which I just did. Or to stand in front of the PowerPoint presentation where nobody can see it. So, there she is.
Thank you.
My name is Dan Worthington. I'd like to introduce you to my good friend Ken Baker. He is owner-operator at the RC Real Estate School, has been since the early 90s. Before that, he was a school teacher, so he's been teaching all of his life. His instructor hero is actually Dale Bays. He feels like Dale entertains, motivates, and teaches on continuous cycles, and he really likes that system.
Yeah, but Ken drinks a lot.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
You're the reason, Dale.
Yeah.
I'm Ted Baker. I'd like to introduce Dan Worthington from Tulsa. He's an instructor for ERA John Housing, so he's a friend of Joe's. He's been teaching for them for a year, was a trainer with Floyd Whitman prior to that. And his hero is Floyd Whitman. He's a master trainer. Taught him everything he does. And I know he does a masterful job there with the ERA John Housing also. About his background as a trainer.
Excellent. Thank you. Excellent.
My name is James Karel, and this is Wilma, whom she has a company above and beyond Oklahoma City. She working out as a teacher for 7 years, as an instructor, and she working with Charles Mooney. Her pet peeve is powerful.
Okay. You're going to have to handle it today.
And her hero is Marie Burroughs. And the reason for that is she got all of her license from Marie Burroughs. So she got that.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay. Finish up this table.
My name is Wilma Moody. James A. Collins, who is the owner of JAC Associates in Tulsa. He's seeking a teaching position in Tulsa, so are you in Tulsa that's looking for a teacher? He's looking for a position. His hero is Charles Bowles. He hasn't had a disaster yet since he hasn't had a class yet. His pet peeve is math, and his toughest topic is biology. And as far as technology goes, he wants to upgrade information.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move to this table right there. Carrie, what's that?
Sure. I'd like to introduce Kathy Cooley, NCOOD. She-Y. She's from Skytook, and she's with Caldwell Banker Radio Group. She's been
you.
I'd like to introduce Harriet Dunham. She is with the C21 office in Pryor. She owns the company and is the broker manager. Is that what her? Okay. Janitor. She's been teaching for about 7 years, and her instructor hero is Joyce Painter. Because she is direct, to the point, brings humor, and is soft-spoken.
Excellent. Thank you.
Cindy is the director of sales manager, director of professional development of the company in Tulsa. She's been instructing for over 25 years, but 8 years in real estate. And her pet peeve is the same as mine. Lack of interaction and activities. You know, to just have an instructor read to you or turn your back on you or something like that. Her instructor hero has been Smith.
Thank you.
I'm introducing Gloria Allred. Gloria is broker manager at Coldwell Banker in Tulsa, and I worked with her in the office, and Cindy will say things about me later. Gloria was a first true prodigy in real estate in Oklahoma. She was 9 years old when she started 40 years ago. I mean, I don't know if there's certificates, it's been close. She's been instructing for 25 years. Her pet peeve is lack of interaction. I tried to get her to tell me a little more about it, but she didn't want to talk. And her hero is Joe Whitaker.
Thank you so much. All right.
Well, I am Cindy Manchester, and I did have the pleasure of meeting a lady that I had never met in Tulsa and found out we worked within a few miles of each other, Catherine Jones. Catherine likes to think of herself as a queen. And I'm sure that she is. That's what I asked. When I asked you what you do, you said you're a queen. So I remember that. Catherine has a very extensive background in education, over 33 years, and she's been teaching in real estate for about 2 years. And you have met someone who really is from around here.
Yes. I got to take Gloria to lunch in Goaty Bow yesterday.
And you know, as we were talking about what subject that we wanted to talk about, her pet peeve is being in a classroom and being read to, as you talked about. She likes interaction, so if she's ever in one of your classes, don't be getting out the book and reading.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Let's move right to the middle table.
Hi, I'm Joe Whitaker. I'm from Tulsa. Really a pleasure to introduce this lady. I've known her since 1980. She's a principal of co-development in Oklahoma City. She teaches pre-license, post-license, and has been a trainer, a full-time trainer since 1992. Her biggest disaster was in her first pre-license course. She said okay about every other word. This is Joyce Painter.
Thank you very much.
I couldn't stop myself. This is Joe Whitaker. As you know, we've known each other for quite a while. His teaching experience started in 1964, but it hasn't been all real estate. He was a human resources instructor with the Air Force, and he taught flight management, flight instruction. What is it?
Flight instruments.
Flight instruments and systems for the Air Force. And he said his biggest disaster was on short notice. The first time he taught flight instruments was on short notice, and he was scared. And it was a 3-hour class, and it just took him 35 minutes. And then he let everybody go, and he said they were all just walking out of the room shaking their heads.
Thank you.
My name's Jeanette Klein, and I'm from Oklahoma, and it's my pleasure to introduce Janet Braswell. Janet is from Oklahoma City. She's been teaching since 1987, and teaching consistently in Oklahoma City since 1987. She was born in Memphis, Tennessee, also she wanted warmth, both temperature and personalities, and Oklahoma was her choice. So she moved to Oklahoma, and I asked her what brought her to Oklahoma, and she actually had a brother that lived here. So she loves the people and the climate. Her class disaster was during a course exam. She observed a couple of students exchanging answers across the room, which was quite devastating. And she called their attention that, yes, I'm a very nice instructor, but I'm not that nice, and we're not going to be doing that kind of thing.
Thank you.
I'm Janet Braswell. Now, Karel, I met in San Antonio 2003. I remember an extra day early. So anyway, it's nice to see you. So I'd like to introduce you to Jeanette Klein. And Jeanette Klein is from Louisville. Jeanette lived in Germany for 13 years. That's one of my favorite countries. Jeanette has had 2.5 years teaching in real estate finance, though, for over 20 years. And she's with the Diamond Head School of Real Estate. And her toughest topic, would you believe, legal descriptions. So, Jeanette.
Thank you. Okay.
My voice just asked if hitting someone, I talk with my hands. Ralph is from Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's taught real estate for 18 years. His favorite instructor, hero, is Dr. Gray. And he said he is so great. And his main thing he'd like to do is to change the attitude of the students. And he's in private practice. He's private about himself. He doesn't reveal too much information about himself. Well, see, I don't have my reading glasses today. And that's why I had to ask him what did he have written on that. It wasn't his penmanship. If I don't have my reading glasses, I really can't function too well.
Thank you very much. All right. One more to go here. Here we go, Ralph.
Same here. Loading lead, 11 years as a broker, 15 years as a realtor. Teaching. Our favorite instructor is Miss Janet over here to my immediate left. Her worst peeve or something. Have to hear a student say, I can't, instead of, I can, and I will. And then the toughest subject or the toughest topic is math of self-worth. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Last table, but not least. Let's go for it.
Actually, I have the privilege of introducing both people. Victoria Caldwell, starting off, is a managing broker of a RE/MAX franchise in the Edmond suburb of Oklahoma City. She's been an icon in the business all the 15 years that I've been here. Thank you. You're keeping time on that, right? So, her career started in 1985, but her latest and greatest accomplishment, of course, was being elected to our board as the president of the Oklahoma City Board of Realtors. Then we also have Paul Brown, who is from Cordell, local boy. He's been teaching for 2 years in the real estate business. His greatest thing is technology, because he's been 25 years teaching computer classes and classes on computers.
It's hard to follow Rodney.
Yeah.
Rodney has been teaching for 7 years, but he has owned his own franchise, Century 21 Gold Castle, for how many years? 10 years. And Rodney's favorite icon teacher is Bobby Lutz. And it's been so much fun for me to hear all of these people that I haven't thought about, but I worked with Bobby. She's a wonderful lady, so welcome, Rodney.
Thank you, everyone, for doing that. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were introducing. Oh, you're going to go for her. You were going to do it again? Excellent. Sorry.
Hello, my name is Karel, and
ourselves, give ourselves a Jenna, we're Robert. We're all close association.
Thank you very much. Excellent. Sorry I passed you up. 547 years of experience in this room. Not bad. And you look pretty good. I'm going to explain a couple things and we're going to get rolling here. I want to thank you all for that introduction. Did you notice what I did after every introduction? What did I do? Thank them. This is a comment I'll be teaching to the DREI, Distinguished Real Estate Instructor Standard, that if you're thinking about going after certification, I'll give you some of the criteria at the end, that you always affirm when people participate or help you. We try to do as much as possible to affirm, unless we're in the heat. You know how sometimes we can get really rolling, boom, 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 boom. Then it might sound like you're a machine gun, just like thank you, thank you. It doesn't. You have to estimate, judge, and do it appropriately. Learners do like to be affirmed. So again, I'm just going to keep making sure that we point out those things. Also the toys, I want to explain the toys for you. This is a body language thing. I hand these out in every single one of my classes. Not necessarily monkeys, you got the good ones. Okay? Here's the thing with toys. It actually has to do with how fast your brains work. If you are over the age of 40, your brains go at a rate of about 850 words a minute. That's how you can absorb and think. If you're under the age of 40, they're going about 1,250 words a minute. This is why when you're older like me, I go, what? You know, slow down. I want to understand what's going on. The thing is, the fastest speaker was clocked in Australia last October, and in fact, they're going to be having this contest come up very quickly. I don't know where in the world it's going to be, but I'm going to be watching. 300 words a minute. Fastest speaker that could talk and be clearly understood. Problem is, you're all thinking at least 3 times faster than the fastest speaker in the world. So therefore, your body starts doing different things. We will start doing the table. You have a styrofoam cup, you will shred it into a million different pieces. Pens, papers, doodling. In fact, what happens is people that actually come in and knit or do needlepoint, I allow that in my class. Because they actually hear and absorb everything, because by having something to play with, bend the tail, wrap around its neck, I don't care what you do with it, pull its little head off, pull the little eyes out, whatever it might do, you're slowing your brain down enough to stay engaged and keep tracking with the instructor. They actually learn better. Try this the next time, because I have people, if I show up without the toys, I only did it once and left it in the car, where are they? They absolutely start looking forward to them. So find some unique things. There's several toy sources you can use, and I'll be happy to share those with you if you think it might be something that might be fun. If you're going to be using finger puppets, please advise the people to only put them on professional fingers. Well, let's get real here. Now, what I'm hoping I'm going to do is not irritate the daylights out of you. I'm going to be demonstrating a lot of different things. We've talked about technology in using PowerPoint. I will tell you, in terms of a word, there's such a thing as PowerPoint poisoning. So what we want to do is make sure, and you've seen the ads that come out. Scott has the one with Bill Burt, has a great little cartoon on that, on PowerPoint poisoning. We want to make sure that we're able to know how to shut it off. That if technology fails on us, we should be able to have enough off of here and here to be able to just move forward. You do not spend 45 minutes trying to fix the computer. Would you agree? Yes. Have you seen that happen? Yes. And it drives you nuts, doesn't it? Yes. So you just go, we're done with that. You turn it off and you start moving, and then the class all of a sudden starts taking on a very interesting dimension. Today, in order to go over some of the objective reviews, I'm just going to generalize them for you off the bat. What we're doing, and I talked with Connie, and what we most wanted to actually provide for you, is we're going to be looking at what I call platform skills. Platform skills on presentation. Some of the background. I went out and actually studied with an actor, and I'll be giving you some information on that about telling stories, how to be able to bring them alive. And Connie, it's a segment that I'm adding near the end for you. We're going to be spending about an hour and 15 minutes on how to be able to incorporate humor and to be able to tell your stories in a way that's captivating, because what we realize is that when we tell a story, and I think many of you will agree with me here, they anchor the thought and the lesson comes together between the heart and the head. And that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to reach out and not dictate, but take these experiences from themselves and apply it and it also opens it up to them in such a way that hopefully they're going to be able to relate with us. So we're going to spend some time. It's actually not in your handout. It's an addition, so I shuffled some things around to get rid of some of the drier material, and we're going to have some fun and actually do some application. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
Cool. All right. Now, a couple things too. Instant chat. We talk about technology. How many of you actually operate schools within Oklahoma? Schools? Are you using instant chat to advise them of any delays? Calling on their telephones and text messaging? You may want to think about that, or not calling. Notice, see, this is old style. Your text message on their phones, because each one of them have an email address. If they purchased a phone within the last 5 years, they have email addresses that you technically can use either an instant chat or a text message, letting know the class has been delayed because of weather for 30 minutes. How cool would that be? For everyone that is registered, know that they're going to have that, and you just advise them, make sure you check your phone to make sure we're on schedule. Or we've changed location, or maybe lunch will not be provided because of the salmonella poisoning. That actually happened for me the day before, and they closed the kitchen down, so that's kind of interesting. So use technology for the advantage of information. You will find that your learners under the age of 40 are relying on it much higher than ever before. Some of you can't live without it, okay? We do know how to have to balance high tech, high touch. Both of them have to come into play. We talk about interaction, chalk and talk. I like that. Using whiteboards, making sure that we don't speak with our back to the individuals. You're going to notice I'm doing something with staging. And again, as I said, I'm going to demonstrate, show you all these things that people, experts like you, have pounded into my head, being evaluated and being watched, and I'm going to move you back towards the front of the handout over here on page 7. Notice the way that I've got this table set up. Let me just make a couple things really clear. What you never, ever, ever do, this is a big no-no, and I'm going to tell you why. And some people wonder with the DRAI, you are never to walk in between the screen and the light, or a point. See this over here and doing that. The reason is because it puts 10 pounds on you. It's irritating! All right, it's irritating. So we all know that that's the point. So we're going to make sure that we stay away from it. You can put it in the corner, but the main thing I look for is where's the best spot in the view. I come usually an hour ahead, taking a look, because I'm responsible for the classroom and how it's set up. And I can't tell you the times I've hauled tables around, moved things around to make sure that it's a good learning environment. Next thing, your computer should be somewhere where you can spot it peripherally. If you're going to be looking, you do not look to the screen to read. Have you seen this? Well, presentations at Dazzle, the instructor development workshop, and then they talk. You need it down here, or put it on a chair, or put it on the floor. And then you can just take a quick look at it, and it's one of the stage things that you'll see a lot of the top presenters actually do, and people wonder how can they do their whole program and never look at the screen. That's what it's designed to do. Next, we're going to talk about incorporating, and if you are interested, during the breaks, I will be happy to show you how I embed video. Let's give you an example of a video. And let's make sure you work. Here we go. That's what my husband's like when I come home on the weekend. Look at all the ladies laying on the pavement. Yes, it's true, I'm sick. Okay, that's all there is to it. I use video for certain elements. So when we talk about a video, it's about doing the unexpected when we're in a class, because of the way that if you feel like something is droning, moving on, you see the head jerk happening and people need a neck brace, what you do is you do something unexpected. You go, well, that's it for the, whatever it might be. You find a way to be able to introduce it. You know where the dry spots are in your material, do you not?
Yes.
You know when it's a nightmare and you dread having to do it. Well, the problem is when you get bored, everybody else is. Would you agree with that? When you get bored, they do. So find some ways to incorporate this in, break it up, and be able to move it from there. And we're going to be actually demonstrating some other techniques that you might be able to do. But PowerPoint embedding, putting in video and sound, I'll give you an example of the sound and how it can actually make the engagement a lot more fun, and I can show you how that's done. I also would like you, as I go through the PowerPoint, because the technology, as I demonstrated, it's here to stay. More people are going to use it, but we want to make sure that we use it properly to embed the point, and it's critical for you as instructors. We'll be talking about how people actually learn, and the visual individuals will really be counting on this. If I need their attention for the story, this gets shut off. So when we're going to be starting and doing a long-term discussion, and anything, if I've made my point on this slide, now we're going to talk about what's on the slide. It gets turned off because I want the attention back here. Unless I have something hanging on my face and I need a few moments for them to concentrate somewhere else. That happens to me also. I can tell you the number of nightmares. You talk about the worst experience. I never wear button-down shirts anymore when I speak. I was in front of 300 people, got a little expansive. It pulled right open. Everyone gasped. I thought they needed medical help. And I just told them I wish I'd worn the good bra, buttoned up, and moved right on. So I still had 2 hours to go. You know, there's not much you can do about that except feel really sorry for everyone in the audience. So we're going to get their attention. We're going to keep them. We're going to hang on. I want them looking at me like this. When I use images, there are a couple rules of thumb. Some individuals are saying we don't want a lot of graphics on our PowerPoint. So you'll see the blue with just the yellow lettering sprawling across. They say because the learners get distracted by the images. Other literature that I have read has indicated that the emotional content of what you're talking about is anchored in the images. People are highly visual. So what we try to do is we try to match for both. I am starting to revise some of my PowerPoint and start having graphic images about every third slide. Every third slide, and I think it'll work a little bit better. Now, taking a look in terms of presenting like a professional, a lot of it has to do in terms of the way that you dress. I also want you to notice on the PowerPoint slide, this one did not have what's called a build. You will see some builds coming up, meaning one point comes in at a time. If you allow everything to come up on the screen right off the bat, it goes faster. It's half the speed for the PowerPoint slide. If I use a build, it's a guaranteed 1.5 minutes per slide. So if we think about terms of timing, what we're going to go through and how we handle each one of the things with the PowerPoint, I literally know where I'm at any given time in a presentation. People ask me, how do you do that? It's because I do this slide, 30 seconds, I can move, I can move, I can move. So, looking at a few things here about judgment. It's based upon perception. You would have believed that it might have been a nightmare situation to come into this instructor development workshop if I had not been prepared. Would you agree?
Yes.
You've got 7 seconds now to make an impression. Not 30 seconds anymore. 7 seconds. And everything you're going to do for the rest of the day in terms of the class and the presentation, you're either going to live up to that first impression or you're going to be overcoming it. I'd rather live up to it. So as we look at our professionalism, there'll be a few things I'll be talking to you about in terms of platform skills, when and how we make ourselves comfortable in front of the students that we teach with. Other things about the process. We're going to be walking through this process. I'm going to be moving through fairly quickly as we do the process, and when I finish this segment, I'm going to be asking for some feedback from you here so that I know where to direct the rest of this day for you. First of all, we take a look at the topic. Target. We want to make sure that we know that the market wants our topic. That's the first thing that we're looking for. Next, we're going to be taking a look at the outlines and creating the learning objectives. I'm not going to be spending much time. The information is right in your handout because I understand that you've had the course development workshop and have worked your way through it. Next, we're going to be taking a look at our research. How frequently are you updating your classes? I was in a class last year for my CE. They had materials from 1978. That's what they were instructing from, 1978. And even though there's some things that really hasn't changed, talking about some body language, things like that, you still want to be updating and make sure that we put in a copyright on the bottom that it's been updated. My copyright on the bottom, notice it says 2004. This actually was updated before I actually presented to you and I forgot to change the footer. But now we have the impression that I forgot to change it. What? It takes me 30 seconds to go in, change the whole document, and put revised 2007. I should have done that. So I like to point out good things, bad things, and I will also be asking for feedback from you since I have 540 some years of experience in here during the breaks, or if you need to do it publicly, go ahead, call me on it. because I need to know about these things, because I would hope that if we ask for an opinion from someone, our peers are willing to give it to us. Does that make sense? Because we ask for a reason, right? Maybe, do you ever feel like sometimes it's just off? You're not quite sure what it is, or what's working, or why it isn't working. Let's start asking the people that know us the best, or know what we do the best, and say, you know what? Maybe that and, we were talking and, or okay, or here's the deal. We start using the same terms over and over again, and they get anchored up here. It's a peer that will help you go through and say, listen, hear it. I'll raise my hand every time you do it. You might be doing this a lot in the first 10 minutes, but I'll tell you, the moment we start hearing it, then the brain hits, and we start recognizing that we're doing something that's repetitive and we need to stop. Let's look at a few things about visual presentation. Again, it's going to be demonstrated throughout the program in terms of what's here. I'd like you to notice the graphic here. Did you notice that the photograph came out of a box? It's no longer a picture in a box, in a square. This is from Hamera, Hamera Graphics, H-E-M-E-R-A, Hamera.com. I can't quote you a price. I want to say it was like $250 for it. I bought it about 2.5 years ago. But Hamera, H-E-M-E-R-A.com, has over 150,000 images, literally covers everything, and they have invisible backgrounds. Now what it does is it dictates when you use it on a PowerPoint, it's great for using it in your handouts, wherever you might do it. It fits just about anywhere, and it gives the depth of a 3D-like impression. So we're going to be going through, and you can see an example. I made mine oversized. I will probably start making them just a bit smaller and allowing the text to be a little bit larger. We talked about the environment, so I'm going to move on from there, and then it's about delivering the program. My pet peeve, quite frankly, is that when I attend something that says this is what I'm going to teach, and then they don't cover it. Have you ever been in one of those? They don't cover what they said. They spent so much time talking about auxiliary or relevant type of things that the meat of what I came for is not here. So what we want to do is make sure that we have the 3 top things that we want to make sure that we cover and we hit when we're there. You need to know what those are in your head, and it's introduced any way you can throughout the entire course. So with that being said, and as I practice making sure that we turn this off, my little battery will only do it over here. I'd like to know from you, and I'm going to go from table to table here, and I'm going to start in the front this time, and let's just ask, what's the top thing you want to make sure that you get out of today? Because it's going to help me coordinate for the rest of the period what it is that we want to cover for you today. Top thing. Improve your teaching, so it's a technique. Okay, so we'll be looking at instructional technique, and so that's where the demonstration, I'll keep stopping, saying, am I doing it, am I not doing it, and we'll take it from there. Over here, anything in particular you want to make sure that's covered?
Incorporate humor.
Incorporating the humor?
And the video that you used.
All right.
And
Incorporating the humor and doing the little video thing, all right? And then I'm going to have my note taker take that for me, and I'll see if I can find a place to put that in there for you. So absolutely. Let's go over here. Anything in particular? Technique. Mostly technique. Got it? Yes, in the back.
Anything useful I haven't ever heard of before.
Okay, then we're going to do a brain drain over here. I think I've got about 40 years here that I may have to, just drain it, but we'll try to do it. We'll do the best that we can. Incorporate some new things that I've learned. It's probably going to be easier if I just move my way around. Yes?
Where do you get your videos?
My videos, I go onto Google, YouTube, Google Videos. We'll have a download capability. And then what I do is I try to find out who originally posted it, or the artist, and I ask permission to put them on here. Now, we talk about a fair use. We'll be going over that very quickly. But whenever we're paid for an engagement, there are places that you can go to. Digital Flash. Oh, the name, Digital Juice. Digital Juice is another one that incorporates very boring little videos, but if you want a little clip on ethics, you might have a 1.5-minute little video. It's digitaljuice.com. We'll give you copyright.
You ever use the L-style display card for large on stand?
Do I ever use a large card for what?
Instead of the video images, I've never used the L-style.
Story card? Okay, he's talking about a story card where we can use the images on there? No, because I've converted almost 100% over to technology. Because that's where most of our audiences are going now, because it's a much faster world. So I have not used a storyboard in a long time.
So that's out now?
Yes, it's out now, Paul. So, just give me a day. Now, if you can use it in a new, more interesting, dynamic way, the problem with storyboards is if I have a group this large,